Well, in a few weeks, college football, with Saturday afternoons of action on television. But when the scoreboard clock counts down to halftime, the cameras tend to go off the field, and you see interviews and fragments of other games, everything but the traditional halftime entertainment on the field. Well, you're missing something. Certainly you're missing something when this band is playing. For Florida A&M has a marching band that's simply astonishing. And here with the story of that band is Tom Hoving. Tom.
Hugh, explosive is the word for the Florida A&M Marching Band. 85 talented musicians who also have to be conditioned athletes competed this week for 47 spots. I've just come back from Florida, where I've seen what makes this band move, and does it move? To make the band means hard driving competition of an intensity you've seldom seen. There's one college marching band that doesn't fade into the background. It generates an incredible level of excitement that even the football game seems to lack. The Florida A&M University Marching 100 has taken the ordinary 1, 2, 3, 4 and turned it into a spectacular show of polished music, precision drills, and marching steps that seem to bend the bones of these musicians in ways that bones aren't supposed to bend. What does it take for a freshman to become a member of this marching band? The amount of courage and stamina that is needed might surprise you. And they need it because these young freshmen have only 1 week, just 7 days, to master the complex music and marching skills.
This is where it all begins, on the drill field. The students call it the patch. 85 freshmen have come to prove themselves as musicians and as precision marchers, in order to get a coveted spot in America's #1 college marching band.
The founder and creative genius behind them is Dr. William P. Foster, who 37 years ago took the lead out of the collegiate marching band and transformed the show into a spellbinding experience.
Basically, the band has been an experimental band, not to be different, but to improve the qualitative aspects of marching maneuvers and music, bringing real excellence in terms of precision and musicianship to the band.
1, 2, 3, 4. For many students, making the Marching 100 represents a lifelong dream. Some freshmen have been recruited for the band by scouts. Others simply come to the tryouts and take their chances.
I'm like the only person that came from my hometown to, try out for the, the #1 band in the nation.
Meet Ken Rigby from Vero Beach, Florida. His family taught him gospel music. He taught himself to play the trumpet. His dream, to be part of that fabulous Marching 100.
I'll make it. I'll be the happiest person in the world. To be that moment of ecstasy, I really enjoy it, I'll jump and shout.
Associate Band Director Dr. Julian White provides leadership and inspiration. The freshmen wear white T-shirts to distinguish them from the upperclassmen.
We want you to be a part of this group. It's going to require a great deal of work on your part. And you're going to have to think, I can't give up. I'm going to endure to the end. Can you do that?
Yes, sir.
You okay then? Carry on, section leaders.
You got to start out like that and end like that. So
It's the responsibility of the drill instructors under Dr. Foster's watchful eye to work with the freshmen and sharpen the musical and marching skills that most acquired while still in high school. Repetition is necessary, as the freshmen have only a short period of time in which to master these intricate steps.
1, 10, touch. 1, 2, 3, parade, 1, 2. I want you to yell from the top of your lungs. I don't care what it takes, anything. I had to go through it, and you got to go through it too. Bang! 1, 10, touch. 1, 2, 3.
Hey! 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 Now! Take it back! What's the problem?
The strengths and weaknesses of the candidates are monitored constantly. Mistakes can count against you.
It's a lot of stress. It's a lot expected from you. You know, you just can't come half-stepping. You know, you got to be mentally strong as well as physically.
As Ken Rigby quickly found out, the biggest challenge for any of these freshmen is developing A&M's distinctive, highly demanding precision style. To show the unique marching style, we asked 3 upperclassmen to demonstrate a standard college marching step. Next, Florida A&M's basic march. And finally, the Rattler, an unbelievable succession of as many as 6 lightning-quick steps per second. Though there is determination in their hearts and minds, having their bodies perform these complicated steps, well, that's another issue.
The first day of practice for our freshmen is rather awkward. In fact, just to look on their faces, you can see a combination of intensity and fear. Day one is somewhat of a nightmare for many of them. Come on, cut. It's like they have 2 left feet. On line. Watch it, Crescendo, watch me.
After the grueling morning drill sessions, the students go into the classroom by instrument section to concentrate upon and memorize the fine points of the repertory.
2, play.
That exactness and tough discipline evident on the drill field is present in the music rehearsals as well.
Let me hear you play it. No. Real sloppy. Plus you're not playing the right notes. Simple scale.
Again, repetition is stressed because these students, now with only 5 days left for the final cut, not only have to memorize but master their musical scores.
Yeah, a little bit shorter. Yeah, that's a little bit better. Just a little bit shorter still. That's better. You see the difference? A lot of wrong notes.
2 crucial days of drill and classroom time were missed by Johnny Payne. He had only 5 days to learn the basic routines instead of the 7 that Ken Rigby and the other competing candidates had. This put him at a distinct disadvantage, and the band staff gave this newcomer little hope of making the Marching 100.
The closer I got to Tallahassee, the fear was just building up inside of me. I got, afraid. Just so much competition. You had to be top-notch to be in the band in the first place, and I just was hoping that I could meet up to that capability.
Johnny had to be tutored by the instructors in order to keep pace with the other freshmen.
They put a lot of pressure on you physically and mentally. You have to be really, really strong in both areas to really cope with what's going on.
It is the evening practice of the 4th day. Only 3 days left for the freshmen to prove themselves.
You've made some pretty good progress, but we still have a way to go. We want you to really be sharp because you're at a point now where it can make you or break you.
The lines of the formation look straighter, but still, as in every other drill session, Dr. Foster evaluates the promise of the prospective band members.
Look at the line.
And as the hours count down, Johnny is still hanging on, working to make up his lost time.
1, 2, 3.
Some students can endure the competition and the intense physical training, but for others, James Oliver from St. Petersburg, for example, the strain can be too much, and his body appears to crack under the pressure.
Massage it. Just go ahead and massage with both hands.
My feelings are crushed because I've practiced so hard and I've looked forward to being a part of this band, and now I could be at the point of not even marching with this band for a whole year.
Despite excelling in the first few days of tryouts, for James, the season is now over. Doctors determined that he has severely torn muscles in his right leg. But he says next year, he'll try again.
It's Friday, the last chance for certain students to show they can make the grade. Soon, there'll be a moment of truth in this stadium. It's called the shaking of the tree, a ceremony in which certain chosen freshmen will be asked to join the proud ranks of the Marching 100.
To the freshmen, this is the moment. You have been working very hard all week. Now that you have worked hard, this is the moment that we make the final selection. This is the big payoff. This is the reward for all of your hard work. As we call your name, we'd like for you to move to your marching position. Freshmen, hut tits, hut! Are you ready, freshmen?
Yes, sir! It comes down to this moment. 85 freshmen, 47 places. They wait for their names. 38 won't make it.
David Dixon.
The first 3 names are called. Then 10. Then 15.
Adrian Green.
For the rest, an almost unbearable suspense. And for some, acceptance can be overwhelming. For both Ken Rigby and Johnny Payne, waiting becomes pure stress.
Timothy Abrams. Johnny Payne.
For Johnny Payne, victory, a dream come true. As Johnny takes his place in the band, Ken Rigby still waits. When there are only 2 spots to be filled, those seconds crawl by like hours. The strain on Ken's face tells the story, but there's still that ounce of hope left.
Louis Davenport.
As the final name is called, for those still standing on the sidelines, comes the realization that they did not make the Marching 100.
This concludes this portion of the rehearsal. You know, sometimes you work hard. Sometimes it doesn't quite appear that it works out. But, you know, that's the story of life. But there are no failures in this business. We do not want you to feel that this is it. And everything is, of course, going to fall in the right places.
And now we see Johnny Payne and the other freshmen for the first time in the complete 1983 Rattler Marching Band lineup. Before performing in uniform, there'll be lots more practice, more drills, and of course, great pride preparing for the season opener on September the 10th.
That competition is really something fierce. What becomes of those who don't make the band?
Well, for some, Hugh, it's the disappointment of a lifetime. But for others, there's still a chance. The regular members drop out, have schedule conflicts, have to be replaced. And the kids who don't make the band are invited to march when the band plays in their hometown. And that's good.
That's very good. Excellent. Thank you, Tom. You see products advertised that seem too good to be true, and you often write to 2020 asking about them. Well, consumer correspondent John Stossel has been checking out some more of them. John?
Hugh, I've received a number of letters from people asking about ads run by the Marine Surplus Depot. The ads sound exciting. Notice, marine surplus sale of heavy-duty truck, boat, and aircraft tarpaulins, all in their original casings, to be offered to the public starting midnight tonight. This guy bought one.
I spent 13 months in the Korean War, and if this is marine surplus, they've got another guest coming because...
Larry Werhan, author in New Jersey, says this tarp is much too thin to be marine surplus.
I got a $50 tarp, good enough for collecting leaves, but not good enough to cover my pool and keep out any sort of residue or weather.
In addition to tarps, Marine Surplus also sells binoculars. The ad says they have a 50-mile range, and they're rugged, designed to withstand rough conditions. When you send in your money, here's what you get. It's a joke. They're like a toy. They just fall apart. Are they at least working binoculars? Well, the ad says they magnify 7 times. They're so powerful you can lip-read a quarterback calling signals a football field away. We had 2 pairs analyzed by a professor at the New York State College of Optometry. He said,
this pair of binoculars really is hardly worth the name binoculars. What they are really is a pair of what I would consider to be toys.
Marine Surplus also sells digital watches, accurate under the most rugged conditions, says the ad. But when you get the watch, it comes with this guarantee that says, don't get it wet and don't expose it to severe shocks or jolts. Didn't matter anyway. This and many other watches didn't work when they arrived. Now, my favorite ad is the one for the Surplus cotton towels. Notice, starting at midnight tonight, Marine Surplus will accept orders directly from the public for these heavy-duty, super-absorbent towels. When you send in your money, this is what you get. Well, there are 12 of them. Where do these people get the nerve? These products are not government surplus, and Marine Surplus Depot has nothing to do with the U.S. military, though the ads imply that they do. In fact, the Marines say they keep getting calls and questions about these products. The company even uses a Port Washington mailing address, even though they're really located in another town. I stopped by to see if someone would talk to me about their ads, maybe give me a refund for all the stuff we'd bought. This was outside the door. Looks like maybe someone else had just returned something.
Hi. Yeah, I'm John Stossel from ABC News. And
inside, we find an armed guard, maybe to ward off angry customers.
Well, can I
where are all the executives?
Business? I bought all this stuff, and it's no good.
There's no one here today. Today is Friday. Friday, you know, it's getaway day.
They said the manager wasn't there. Though that's funny, his new car was in the parking lot. As we were leaving, we ran into this woman. She said she'd just been laid off and was picking up her last check.
No, I was in the mailroom. I opened the mail up and put the letters through.
Lots of complaints from the mail?
Mm-hmm. Lots of complaints. They were paying $11 for binoculars that wasn't worth $1.
What kind of place is this?
I'll never work for it again, I'll tell you that much.
Why not?
Because it's a rip-off. It's a big rip-off, this place.
Court papers filed by the postal inspectors say the people who run Marine Surplus also run some other questionable mail-order companies. They sell things like Enerdream, which are supposed to be sexual potency pills for men, and Militol, diet pills that claim they help you lose weight every time you eat. Postal authorities say the man in charge of the operation is Norman Chanis. I wanted to ask him about all of this, but he wouldn't talk to us. He referred us to his lawyer. The lawyer says the postal inspectors are wrong, that there is no connection between Chanis and Marine Surplus, and that Chanis doesn't run those other companies. However, it just happens that the lawyer represents both Marine Surplus and Chanis. As far as Marine Surplus products, the lawyer says he's surprised there are complaints about them. In the case of the binoculars, he says they must have had a bad supplier. Well, what about the advertising? Well, he said, nowhere does it say directly that the company is related to the U.S. military. But he said the company is changing its ads. I wonder if the company really will change, because if Norman Chanis is the man behind the operation, we know he's done this kind of stuff before. 7 years ago, he pleaded guilty to mail fraud charges on behalf of a company in another state. They paid a $15,000 fine. Of course, the postal inspectors say that's not much compared to what Marine Surplus is taking in. Now, what if you want to buy real military surplus? Don't give up. That can be done. Army-Navy stores sell some of it, but you can't count on them. Army-Navy is just a name. Anyone can use it, and some Army-Navy stores sell no real surplus. To get that, you have to contact the Defense Department directly, but that's easy to do. Just write to Defense Property, Battle Creek, Michigan. They'll send you this little catalog which tells you how to attend the next sale of surplus clothing, cameras, Jeeps, and so on. They have over 200 sales outlets all over the country. And good news, Hugh, there are some real bargains here.
Thank you, John. I think that's what I'd be looking for if I were in the market. John will continue to cast a cold eye in your behalf over more products that seem too good to be true. Well, next, Geraldo Rivera, with an unusual story of a mother who sacrificed her career to help her daughter fight heavy medical odds. Right after this. Star who made the other choice. Here is Geraldo Rivera.
Thank you, Hugh. Phoebe Snow had her first big shot at the big time in the mid-'70s. With 2 gold record albums, she seemed headed for a permanent spot at the top of the charts. But then she just stopped. Why? What would be important enough for someone to surrender the glory of fame and the rewards of success? Phoebe's is a very personal story of hope when life seems without hope, and it has a happy ending.
I hadn't been on a stage in about a year and a half. I was scared. I didn't know if everybody was going to go, boo, get out of here. You've been gone too long. Get lost. But it was all right.
Whoa, talk to me some more. You don't have to go. You're the poetry man. You make things all right.
The classic Poetry Man marked Phoebe Snow's debut as a versatile and commercially successful singer and songwriter. When it was first released in 1974, Phoebe and her career were sky high.
I had a record out. It was on the charts. It was pretty high on the charts. I was just starting to work with a band for the first time in my life. I got to work with Paul Simon, which was like a big thrill for me. I mean, everything was just going up. It was like an upswing. Plus, I was pregnant with my daughter, so it was definitely the happiest time of my life.
Pregnant for the first time and filled with enormous goodwill and energy, this duet with Paul Simon seemed to reflect Phoebe's real zest for life. With her rich, deep voice, she was comfortable with rock, folk, gospel, or blues, and she could sing with the best of them.
Oh, the married man, oh, the married man. Never would I had a good time again if it wasn't for the married man.
But just as it seemed Phoebe Snow was headed for real stardom, she abruptly began fading from view.
Why did you go away? Why did you disappear?
I just didn't feel that I could be out in front of people and be flipping out over my personal problems with my daughter at the same time. So I just closeted everything.
Phoebe disappeared because her family had been stricken by tragedy. Her daughter Valerie had been born with special needs. She was brain damaged.
How did you react when you were told that Valerie was severely handicapped, that she was brain damaged?
I was devastated. I went around to 1 million doctors. They all had different answers. One of them said, it's a true story, she'll outgrow it. Don't worry, she's going to outgrow it. Yeah, I know, but that's what he said. Others just would sort of shake their head, and they hoped I didn't see them doing it, like, you know, that kind of thing. But I saw it. I saw everything. There was not much hope given, and there were not many options given, so.
Like many other parents of handicapped children, Phoebe was advised to put Valerie away in an institution, but she refused. Then, mostly because of pre-existing marital problems, Phoebe and her husband split up. Still, she tried to maintain Valerie at home, as well as her own concert career on the road. Then, when Valerie was 2 years old, something dreadful happened.
I was out on the road for 5 weeks, and I came home, and I found that she hadn't been eating for whatever reasons. She had gotten down to about 9-10 pounds, and she was shriveling up and looking extremely atrophied and half dead. She was dying, basically. And that was the lowest point in my life. I just fell apart.
Ow! What are you kicking me for? Don't kick me.
In a classic triumph of love, compassion, and hard work over medical odds, Phoebe's brain-damaged daughter has made much more progress than any doctor dared hope.
That's a good girl. Come on, honey. Come on. Stay being good. There you go, a little bit more.
Every morning for the last 6 years, neighborhood volunteers and a therapist have helped Phoebe work with Valerie to strengthen her muscles and develop her mind.
There are a couple of high points. First time that she hugged me, because she hadn't really moved or anything, and I used to pick her up and hold her and hold her and hold her all the time and talk to her, you know, and there was no response. And then one day she just put her arms around me, and I said, oh boy, this is heavy. It was great. It was great. I don't know exactly when it started happening that she began to lift her head up, like most infants do, like around 8 or 9 months. They go, oh, like, or even earlier. But she started to do that. Then she got up on all fours, slowly, gradually. And then one day, I think last year, the kid stood up. She held onto a piece of furniture and she stood up. I had a heart attack. Nobody ever told me this child was going to even sit up. She was so brain damaged.
And now that Valerie is doing so much better, Phoebe Snow has begun her long-awaited comeback. She's playing smaller clubs, but to sell-out audiences.
Something goes wrong. Hi, first to the last one to know. Something goes right. Well, it's likely to lose me. Got the confusion of the sudden on the usual side. I can't get used to something so right.
How have you changed as a result of what you've been through, both personally and professionally, in the last 6, 7 years?
I'm probably stronger than I was before. I'm probably less self-involved than I was when I started my career even. My songs, I look at them as being very self-involved, very self-centered, and I don't think that's the case anymore.
One new song Phoebe has written is for and about Valerie, but it could be an anthem for every parent with a handicapped child.
My friend, just one. Indifferent, that is true. Every time they laugh at you, it just breaks my heart in two. You've got to stand your ground. You got to stick around. You got to stand your ground. You got to stick around. Now don't.
And your personal goals for me?
Well, more than anything, I'd really like for Valerie to walk and talk. I know it doesn't seem like a lot to most people, but we've come such a long way already. That's what I want more than anything.
They've been through enough to know it's not going to be easy. Valerie still has a long way to go, but they've made a wonderful beginning.
We made it
Phoebe is currently on a national tour with her new band.
And Valerie's future looks a lot brighter than it did just a short while ago.
It sure does. In just a few weeks, the 7-year-old will be starting in a special school.
That's great. Thank you, Geraldo.